Maniacal Machinist is the second wing in the Liberation of Undermine raid. It is home to Sprocketmonger Lockenstock and Stix Bunkjunker. Very quickly going to describe how this guide is set up. The video is split into chapters for each boss. You can find them down below. The first chapter will describe the boss fight mechanics and each of the important abilities. The second chapter will be role-specific duties. LFR and Normal are practically identical, but I will make a note on differing areas. Sprocketmonger Lockenstock. This is a single-phase fight with a brief intermission where the raid just has to survive. The main mechanic is navigating around the arena while avoiding all the traps and inventions that arrive on the conveyor belts located on the left, right, and center of the arena. Phase 1. Sprocket will use wire transfer, which electrifies part of the floor. This means that the boss and raid position will constantly be shifting. Conveyor belts are spread around the arena. These move the boss's weapons around, but are traversable by the raid as they are not electrified by the wire transfer ability. When the boss uses activated inventions, the conveyor belts will stop moving and become temporarily electrified as the inventions start attacking. There are 3 inventions, with each one changing after the intermission. The 3 inventions are Blazing Beam, which shoots lines of fire across the arena, Rocket Barrage, which shoots what look like Wowhead rockets across the arena, and Mega Magnetize, which will pull players towards them attempting to stun them. All of these inventions are avoidable. After the first intermission, Blazing Beam turns into Jumbo Void Beam, which still shoots lines except now it's purple and much wider. And after the second intermission, Rocket Barrage turns into Void Barrage, which launches multiple purple projectiles towards players. The boss will also use Screw Up. This targets random players for 4.5 seconds, dropping circles beneath them. Drills will emerge from these circles, stunning anyone that gets hit. And his final ability is Sonic Ba-Boom, which just deals raid damage and applies a 10-second dot. There are 2 tank mechanics. Each melee hit applies a stacking debuff, which increases damage and slows movement speed, followed by a Pyro Party Pack attack, which plants a bomb on the tank. This explodes after 6 seconds and deals less damage to the raid the further away the tank is. So swap after the bomb is placed and run away from the raid. Phase 1's abilities. Activate inventions. Lockenstock stops the conveyor belts, electrifies them, and activates his inventions. The inventions. Blazing Beam. This invention fires a continuous line of flame that deals fire damage. The Rocket Barrage fires 2 rockets over 4 seconds towards players. It deals damage if colliding with a player. Mega Magnetize will pull players towards it. On contact, they are stunned for 6 seconds. The empowered inventions. The Jumbo Void Beam. This is a wide purple beam that deals shadow damage. Void Barrage launches void projectiles every 2.5 seconds. Getting hit deals shadow damage and also does a burst of raid damage. His additional abilities, Wire Transfer. This electrifies a section of the floor. These zones inflict nature damage every second and slows your movement speed by 40%. Screw Up will target random players and marks the location beneath them for 4.5 seconds. Drills will emerge from these locations, stunning anyone hit for 6 seconds and applying a bleed. Sonic Ba-Boom. This is a burst of raid damage that applies a 10-second dot. Blisterizer MK2. These are traps that are on the conveyor belts. When touched, it launches players into the air and applies a 6-second dot, but it also increases movement speed by 60%. Gravigunk. This is tank related. Each melee attack applies a stacking debuff that increases all damage taken by 8% and reduces your movement speed by 5%. The Pyro Party Pack. This is also tank related. This places a bomb on the tank that detonates after 6 seconds. This deals fire damage to the raid, but decreases the further away the bomb is. The intermission. Once Lockenstock reaches 100 energy, he initiates beta launch, which will throw the raid to the opposite side of the arena from him. For the next 20 seconds, he channels Bleeding Edge, which upgrades one of his inventions, and it deals raid damage every 5 seconds. The raid should quickly run up the conveyor belts to reach the boss while avoiding all of the ground effects, abilities, and extra traps. The Intermission Abilities. Beta launch. The boss goes to one end of the arena and throws the raid to the opposite, electrifying most of the flooring other than the conveyor belts, and starts channeling Bleeding Edge. Bleeding Edge. This is channeled for 20 seconds. It deals raid damage and applies a healing absorb every 5 seconds. It also throws Black Blood Splatter, which is marked by circles, which will disorient players that are hit for 2 seconds. Upgraded Blood Tech. After the Bleeding Edge channel, he buffs himself, increasing his overall damage done by 15%. This does stack. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Taunt swap after the Pyro Party Pack, and if you have the bomb, run away from the raid. Watch your stacks, especially after a couple of intermissions as the damage increases. Be aware of your positioning with all of the electrified ground and other mechanics. Healers. Expect raid damage over 10 seconds after Sonic Ba-Boom is cast. Expect another burst of raid damage when the tank's bomb explodes. During the intermission, expect bursts of raid damage and healing absorbs every 5 seconds. DPS, be constantly aware of the mechanics that are flying all around. Actively utilize defenses, especially during the intermission. Stix Bunkjunker. This is primarily a single-phase fight that has a brief one-time intermission that permanently buffs the attack speed of the boss. The main mechanic here is rolling your garbage ball around the room, collecting trash and enemy mobs before either slamming it into the boss or one of the giant bombs. Phase 1. The boss is going to use electromagnetic sorting once he hits 100 energy. He will float for 5 seconds, deal raid-wide damage, and mark the arena with a bunch of circles that will spawn different-sized garbage piles and a large bomb. During the sorting, he will mark 5 players, and once the sorting finishes, these players will turn into a ball. Those players turned into a ball must roll around the arena, collecting the different garbage piles. You'll notice an extra bar on your screen, which indicates the size of your garbage ball. As your ball increases in size, you'll be able to collect the larger garbage piles. Players will want to fill this bar as close to max as possible, because the more it's filled, the more damage your ball does. You'll be smashing your garbage ball into either the boss or a large bomb. One final note is that the ball does have a time limit. If your time runs out, the ball disappears and you've wasted all that potential damage. Now, let's talk about the bomb. The amount of bombs increases with each electromagnetic sorting. So the first time, you only have to worry about 1 bomb. The second sorting, you have 2 bombs, and so on. These large bombs will explode after 26 seconds and will basically wipe the raid. One player that is rolling around must crash their ball into the large bomb. This detonates the bomb, dealing a burst of raid damage, but now it's no longer lethal. Let's cover the rest of the mechanics. Occasionally, the boss will summon adds that need to be grouped up and killed. There are 2 types of adds: hyenas, which only melee attack, and scrap masters. Scrap masters use a dangerous scrap rockets ability that needs to be interrupted. Players that are rolling their ball should try to run over all of the adds as well. Once a player crashes their ball, the adds get thrown out and now take double damage, making them much easier to handle. Incinerator will target a few players with red rings. If targeted, you need to stay away from garbage piles. If your ring touches any garbage piles, it will ignite them. Burning garbage piles apply a stackable debuff to the raid that ticks damage every 2 seconds. This debuff lasts until the pile burns completely away or is picked up by a ball. The tank mechanic, Demolish, will apply a 100% damage increase debuff that lasts for 50 seconds. You want to taunt swap after each Demolish. I'm briefly going to cover the intermission. He will use Overdrive, which causes him to fly around the arena, throwing lightning, which is marked by circles. Once Overdrive is ending, he marks a large area of the map and plunges into the ground. This will kill anyone that is inside the circle, and everyone else gets knocked back. During Overdrive, he is immune to damage, so the main goal is to just stay alive. Once over, he is buffed with maximum output, which permanently increases his attack speed by 25%, and now causes Incinerator to also target garbage piles as well as players. Phase 1's abilities. The 100 energy mechanic. Electromagnetic sorting. Stix floats into the air for 5 seconds, dealing raid damage and marking a bunch of locations with circles that will spawn garbage piles and a large bomb. Rolling rubbish. This is triggered with the electromagnetic sorting. Up to 5 players are marked and turn into rolling balls. This ball increases in size as you roll and absorb garbage piles and enemies. The size of your ball is shown with the extra bar. The damage it deals is dependent on the size of the ball itself. Discarded Doomsplosive. This is the large bomb. The amount of bombs increases with each sorting. The bomb must be hit by a large enough garbage ball, otherwise it will wipe the raid. Now his general abilities. Incinerator. This targets random players with red circles, applying a 3-second dot. These circles can ignite garbage piles. Toxic Fumes. This is the stacking debuff that ticks raid damage every 2 seconds. This is only active when garbage piles are burning. Demolish. This is the tank buster. It applies a 100% damage increase debuff that lasts for 50 seconds. The Scrap Master adds abilities. Scrap Rockets. This is interruptible. It is a 9-second channeled ability. Dumpster Dive. He will mark a random player and jump towards them, marked by a large circle. The intermission mechanic. Overdrive. The boss is immune to damage, flies around, marking multiple circles that need to be avoided. Once he's finished, he gains a permanent buff, increasing attack speed by 25% and causes Incinerator to target players and garbage piles. Trash Compactor. This ends the overdrive by marking a large location on the map that deals lethal damage to anyone inside. Once hitting the ground, it knocks back all players from the impact zone. Role-specific duties. Tanks. Taunt swap after Demolish. Help group up and interrupt the adds. Be aware that the boss deals faster damage after overdrive. Healers. Expect raid damage during the electromagnetic sorting. Expect raid damage increasing for each active burning garbage pile. Expect bursts of raid damage when a bomb explodes. During the intermission, expect another burst of raid damage with the Trash Compactor ability. DPS. Kill and interrupt adds. Use a max-size ball to maximize damage to the boss or the bomb. Roll over adds as well to increase their damage taken. Use defenses actively. During the intermission, focus on any remaining adds that are alive. Congratulations, you just cleared the second wing of the Liberation of Undermine raid. Shout out to these channel members. If this video helped them, press the thumbs up. Subscribe if you enjoy WoW content. I have plenty of guides, tips, tricks, podcasts, and more. You can show extra support by becoming a channel member. It's 99 cents a month and gives you early ad-free access to all my videos. Don't forget to check out the merch store. I'll see you in Wing 3.